Hello! Today I will be showing you how to make this cool effect completely in After Effects. No Blender, no fancy 3D stuff. This is all completely in After Effects, and I actually made this in like a good 5 minutes maximum. So this is very easy to make, and I will show you how to make this right now. Okay, I accidentally deleted my composition in my timeline. Give me a minute. Okay, here we are back. Now the first thing you want to do, you want to add fractal noise onto a layer called fractal noise. And if you don't know what fractal noise is, it's an effect that makes this little thing here. It looks stupid, but it's useful in pretty much every cool VFX shot you see, because it's very, very random, and you can use that randomness. And that's actually what's going to give us this cool texture. So we're gonna do this with 2 fractal noise layers. And we want to set it to dynamic, since dynamic looks a bit cooler, and just increase the contrast a bit. To like a good 160 or so. And this will just have the whites brighter and the darks darker. And it is pretty bright, so we do want to lower the brightness to maybe minus 40. And we want to make this a bit bigger since it's quite small. So something like this. And as you can see, it is all blurred out now. And that's because the way fractal noise works, it has repetitions, and those repetitions, long story short, complexity makes it less blurry. Because the more complexity, the more repetitions of making the fractal noise it will do, and then the more clarity you will have in these areas. So if you want it to be really zoomed in, you should probably increase the complexity. I like complexity 9. I think it looks good and it's not too heavy. Some people I know they do complexity 8, but it just looks a little worse. And anything above complexity 9, you don't really notice it. So generally, if you want to scale it up to like 400 or 500, complexity 9. Now, next you want to add tritone. Misclick. Wrong effect, not BCC tritone. Tritone. This will give it its color. And then you want to add an effect called radial blur. This is going to make it look spinny. And next, you want to add unmult. Now, duplicate your layer, and on the bottom, delete all of the effects that we just added except tritone. What this does, unmult, is it allows you to see the background. So if we delete this, the layer on the back will not be visible. Now, currently the layer on the back is almost identical to the top layer, so we're going to go into evolution options and increase the random seed. And as you can see, you have the 2 layers overlaid on top of each other. Unmult is the equivalent of setting your layer to screen mode. It just removes the blacks and makes them transparent. Now, on the bottom layer, you want to heavily scale this down to like a good 130, 120. And also, decrease the contrast significantly so that you don't have a line, like that way you don't have much of the black parts. So something like 50 could work. So as you can see, it's already looking pretty nice. Now we're going to give it this cool glowy bit. Now that's an effect called deep glow. So you want to add that on the top layer. And on its own, it just makes it glowy. However, if you go into input, you can see threshold. Increase this and you will get these little red spots. So increase this to anywhere between 20 and 30. I'm gonna, maybe a little, this needs to be a little lower brightness, I think. So like, this needs to be, the top one needs to be at like around minus 40. So this is good. And put this to light. I have it at 29, looks good to me. Maybe even 30. Since it's not that low brightness. And once you've done this, decrease the exposure a bit since it's pretty bright to like 0.7 maybe, and heavily increase the radius to like 1000. Radius will sort of feather out the glow a bit, and it looks a lot nicer. Next, you want to animate these. Now the top layer, since it's zoomed in, the animation will be a little more severe, so when keyframing evolution, keep that in mind. I'm gonna have this to like 1.5, the top one. Maybe a little less, like 1.25. And the bottom one, I'm gonna keyframe evolution at the beginning, go to the end, and again we're gonna set this instead of 1.5, maybe like 2 and a bit. And now we have this cool animation. Wonderful. Now we're gonna give it this cool plasticky look. How do we do that? We add an adjustment layer. On that we add CC plastic. All of a sudden, it's looking wonderful. But it can look better. We want this to be realistic, and in realistic cameras, they do a thing called noise. Basically, it's these little grainy dots. Now, as you can see, an amount of noise, currently 0% means there's no noise. But if we set this to like 20, it's quite noisy. Now, you see how the pixels of the noise have color on them? We don't like that. That looks ugly. So we're going to uncheck color noise. Now they're great, but there's still a lot of noise. 20% is a lot of noise. So we're going to decrease this to 5. We have 5 noise now. And as you can see, it's already looking wonderful. But the light isn't really changing much. So we're going to we're going to make another adjustment layer, and we're going to add moody lighting. Now there's 3 options. You want to pick the amorphous. The digital sort of gives it like a digital look, and the streaks gives it little lines. Anamorphous is the coolest one and the best one. It just adds like random lighting with a really large fractal noise layer. And as you can see, we have all these random lights, and this is actually our final product. This is how you make it. This is done already. Very easy, and we made that in not a lot of time. So as you can see, it's very, very similar. Almost identical. The brightness values and contrast values are a little different, so you can mess around with those until you get something you like. And that's how you make this cool plasticky bobbly effect in only After Effects.